welcome to Hot Nerd Network, the ultimate destination where we celebrate diverse personalities from the real world to Barbieland. I'm your host, Hot Nerd Syd, your guide through the captivating worlds of fandom. As the queen of the fandoms and ruler of all things fem, I'm here to empower and entertain you with our geeky adventures. And joining us today on Hot Nerd Network, we have the fantastic, the fabulous, the one and only Hot Nerd Walter. Woo!
Hello, everybody.
Hello. This dashing gentleman is not just any guest speaker. He's our very own real life Kindle, here to bring his charm, wit, and nerdy expertise to our Barbie movie recap.
Thank you, Hot Nerd Syd. It is an absolute pleasure and privilege to be here celebrating the world of Barbie and geekdom with you and all of the viewers out there.
You're too kind, Hunter Walter. Tell us what you are wearing today. What are you wearing for our Barbie recap?
Okay, well, I'm obviously in a little bubblegum pink, local mesh bodysuit out. Let me give you the full fantasy. Let
Yes,
me
please.
back it up a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna tiptoe backwards. So we're in whatever silhouette these shorts are, period. And then we're hitting y'all with the Mega Crush crotch. These are just my little house shoes, nothing crazy. We got Homer Simpson on the sock,
Yes.
and then we have our little my giblets. I'm gonna do the YouTube hand. Period.
Yes.
Yeah. So a little something, nothing crazy, nothing crazy.
Yes. Well, still giving very much kid energy.
Period.
True nerd at heart, though. Walter, what are some of your favorite fandoms usually outside of Barbie?
Yeah, so I'm an anime fanatic. I watch anime every day, particularly shonen. So if they're fighting and they got magic and all of that stuff, that's what I'm into. So best anime of all time is One Piece. Watching Demon Slayer, My Hero Academia, big Naruto fan as well, as you can see from the giblets. I
Yes.
also am a big lover of reality television. The more ghetto, the better. So I am Zeus Network's number one fan. Shout out to Jocelyn's Cabaret premiering tomorrow. And Real Housewives of Atlanta, Potomac, and Beverly Hills, and Dubai. Dubai is good too.
Oh, I didn't know they had that.
And it's giving. It's giving what it's supposed to have. Gay.
True.
And Selling Sunset, Selling Tampa, all of the Netflix stuff, feeling that as well. But I am beyond excited to focus today on the fantastic world of Barbieland with you, Syd, and explore all of the themes and messages. I have some questions for you, actually, so I'm excited to
Yes.
get to it.
Same, because it was a lot. Like, I just felt like the movie was just going. But and then we were at the end. I was like, oh my gosh! But we'll get into all of that. We're going to analyze, dissect, and have a blast discussing the movie's plot, narratives, and everything in between. So let's buckle up, just like Barbie Kid did, and get ready for some epic Barbie adventures.
Indeed. So, fellow hot nerds, get your popcorn and your Barbie accessories ready because this is going to be an unforgettable journey to Barbie Land.
Absolutely. And remember, we love hearing from all of you. So don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the Hot Nerd Network channel, and join the conversation in the comments below because we're going to have a feedback show and read some of them. So, yeah.
That's right. Let's discuss, let's engage, and celebrate the magic of Barbie together.
All right. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in. Initial reactions. I really love this movie. Like, I
Mhm.
think that just from an aesthetic standpoint, it was really giving to me. I mean, from the marketing alone, we just both Walter and I met
Right.
just from an advertising background. We both work for Meta Tech Company. We both work in advertising, and the advertising behind this. What was this budget? What would you think the budget is?
I actually have been thinking about that. I'm going to say, like, respectfully, I'm going to say, like, $500 million is what I'm
Yes,
thinking. It might be
yes.
a little bit lower just because I feel like a lot of them obviously were collaborations. So like
Yeah,
they might have gotten a little discount and I
sure.
would have if I had a brand, I would want Barbie attached to it. So they might have cheated it a little bit. But like I know you've seen like the threads on Twitter, on TikTok,
Mhm,
of just
mhm.
about all the different things that they were doing. So just like you were
Yes,
saying, as an advertiser, as a marketer, I was just like, I'm contractually obligated to see this film because
yes,
they want me to see this film so bad.
yes.
And I've never owned a Barbie in my life, but I said I am the Barbie today. No,
Yes, you
never.
are. Me dropping my head. Yes, no. I completely agree. Like I was like, just off the strength of this marketing team being able to clock their numbers, get their promotions, this is huge. Like, and I felt that aesthetic all the way through the movie. It wasn't like
Mm,
mismatched what
right.
was given before and what we walked into. It felt like an entire experience. And
Hmm.
like flipping, I owned a lot of Barbies growing up. Like Barbie was a huge moment for me. Like I had two dream houses. I had the different Barbie and Ken dolls. Like it was my first real way of world building. And
Hmm.
you know, I love me
Period.
some Sims. And it was even before Sims that I was able to like craft these dolls and really see myself through all the different careers like they had in the movie and play out different scenes and it was just very much it was so interesting. Like how did you feel about them in the very beginning of the movie being like, yeah, all the girls on earth, like they
Right.
love us and we empower them. Like how'd you feel about that? Even just growing up. Yeah.
Yeah, even like starting off rip, like when they went through like how Barbie came about and like went from baby dolls to like the baddest Barbie, like I
Yes.
was like, okay, this was very I was like, this was just I just needed to know that. And then
Yeah.
also like when they have Margot as like the gigantic Barbie at the beginning, I was like, yes, Margot, you serve. And I also didn't realize like, well, if you don't know, I am a Barbie in real life, and what I mean by that is Nicki Minaj's sister. Hey, Queen. So I appreciated like in the Barbie World music video, they did a little Easter egg of Nikki all big like that. So when I saw Margot like that, I was like, oh, period. It was just 10 out of 10 for me from like that just initial jump, like that first scene where they were smashing them baby dolls. I was like, yeah, get them out of here. We need something cuter. Period.
We do. It was interesting because I feel like we'll get into this later, but like that part to me in the very beginning felt like even a little bit of a commentary on motherhood. Like,
Mm,
what are we really teaching girls about self discovery? Are we teaching them to become mothers, or are we teaching them to, to see themselves as career women? Like, I'm not saying anything is right or wrong. Like, but it definitely was a very clear definition in the beginning of the film.
right.
And what was also very clear as well to me in the beginning of the film, just to continue going on, is the fact that, her relationship with Ken, like, how do you feel about that in terms of how like what role Barbies have in the world versus what roles kids have in the world?
So well, obviously Barbie's relationship to Ken changes throughout the
Yes,
movie. So I'll
yes,
just talk about like the beginning part. But
yeah,
I mean I stand the relationship to Ken. Like I am also I don't know, maybe it was a Ken thing or the character, but I just felt like Ryan Gosling did so well. Like I'm not
100%.
I'm not the closest to his career, but
Mhm.
I just felt like, okay, he is giving me the energy that I need. Like he's
Yeah,
just dumb enough. He's just hungry enough for some attention. And I feel
yeah,
like, although that relationship was obviously like in the real world, like low key toxic because she was not giving him no love. But I
no,
was living for it. I was like, girl, you better ignore that man. He's gonna be there regardless. Like, do you, Barbie? That's all that matters.
I love that. Yeah, no, it was very interesting. Like I felt as if it was just a real imbalance. Like usually, we'll see the switch when she goes into the real world, but the women it was giving matriarchy. That's what it was like.
Right.
It was giving matriarchy, and the kid dolls were there to look nice. But I'm really glad that they explored it because even in the beginning, I was like, there's a bit of a power imbalance here. Like
Right.
I'm not used to this, and
Hmm.
I here for it selfishly. Like it was giving. And then as we go along, we're meeting all the different Barbies and things like that. And I just thought it was very interesting. What's it called? Just the different types of Barbie. Of course, we saw
Right.
our girl Issa as the president. Loved it. How do you feel about the representation of it all?
So I obviously loved it, and then Issa, like, she was definitely she made the whole movie for me. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. I found it very, very interesting because even though the marketing was very like diverse, we're going to try to put everyone in it. Even like I went into a Walmart a couple months ago and they had the Barbie aisle and it said Barbie is everything and all the Barbies look different and we're doing different things. So I feel like from a
Yes.
merchandising standpoint, they definitely kept that vein of representation and diversity.
Yes.
I found it very interesting as well that like kind of Margot Robbie was like she was the stereotypical Barbie, but she was like the only one, which I
Yeah.
found that was like okay. I was expecting you just more blonde white women as
Yeah.
Barbie because even though they do have a lot of representation, like a lot of their history is like stereotypical Barbie, but I think that was smart on their behalf.
No, I agree, and they even like had little amounts of diversity. Like I saw the body diversity. I saw
Right.
even like you caught the different ability diversity even within the dance scenes, like
Mm.
in the very beginning. It was very interesting, but it was definitely giving Margot main character energy. And
Right.
I think I was just saying, like we were just saying even before behind the scenes, talking about like I do wish we still like saw a little bit more of Issa, a little bit more of some of these other characters, but I love Margot. I love like she's like one of
Mhm.
my favorite actresses right now. I
Mhm.
mean, from Pythonia to I don't know if people know she was in this Will Smith movie called Focus. That's where I really got introduced to her, even
Mhm.
before Wall Street, or maybe it was after. But around that time period, I just fell in love with her as an actress. So when I saw she was going to be in this movie, I was like, I have got to see this. Like it's amazing. Um, Speaking of the people behind this movie, Greta Gerwig as the director, have you been familiar with any of her works before, like Lady Bird or Little Woman?
No, I actually have never seen. Well, to my knowledge, have not seen a Greta Gerwig film before. But I was actually talking about seeing the Barbie movie at work, and one of my
Mhm.
clients told me like, "Oh, this is an award-winning director. Like, you should be very excited." So I was like, "Okay, well, gather me up. I'm the only one who wasn't hip to Miss Greta because clearly she's been paying her dues for a minute."
Yes, she really has. Like I got introduced to her work. I know she's done rom-coms in the past, like she did No Strings Attached, but
Okay.
also and that was like I mean, I don't know. I just wasn't really familiar with that movie. I heard was like, but where she really, I mean, of course, she's a director, so she's getting her feet wet, and she I would assume, I don't know if this is the case, but I would assume that that movie itself had a lot of studio overhead because when I tell you the switch up was real in her really popular movie Lady Bird, and I won't go into that too much, but the
Okay.
reason why I won't even touch about it on today because you should really watch it. I think it was an A24 production if you're familiar with that
Okay. I'm hip.
company, and they're 10 out of 10, everything everywhere
They
all at
do.
once. But Lady Bird is also a movie about self discovery, very,
Okay.
very much giving similar teas to Barbie, just in a completely different realm. Like that's like more of the edgy flower child, like wildflower, just type of movie. Has features Timothy Chalamet if you're a fan of him, like one of his breakout hits too. But in this one, of course, we're putting the whole pretty girl facade like on Barbieland and what how you can self discover in that way. So I just think it's really interesting that throughout a lot of her movies, she's really diving into self discovery through a lot of different feminine archetypes.
Hmm.
Some are a little bit more waspy, some are a little bit more academic. And here we see that this person is very much doing a self discovery outside of just like the one dimensional version of herself. And so yeah, I would definitely encourage you to go and check that out.
Okay.
But outside of that, like there were so many actors here.
Hmm.
I did not know Will Ferrell was gonna be in this
Me
movie.
either. Me either. I,
Out of nowhere.
and the kids was giving. They were distracting. They were. Yeah, you already know that part. And also, I did not know Ryan Gosling was low key like a bodybuilder. Like I was like, where did all of this come from? Like it.
His abs,
The I, it, I, I was distracted. I was distracted. Like.
like it was so he looked so beautiful.
Mhm.
And his whole little rivalry too. I forgot the actor's name that I need to look that up, but they
It's
were so funny.
something Liu, Simu,
Yeah.
Sima, something like that. Something like that. From Shang-Chi, period.
Yes.
And he gave, as always.
He did. But Will Ferrell as well. Well, Ryan Gosling, I agree with you. He was 10 out of 10. Like, I think he gave the MVP of the whole movie to me. But Will Ferrell was holding his own. It's like, I'm like, can Will Ferrell still come off to me as funny, even so many years later? And he definitely still does. Like, I don't know. He just had me laughing throughout the entire movie. Yeah, so, but Ryan Gosling was perfect. And it was just interesting. I think, like, I think those are just like some of my initial reactions. I have some more as we kind of get through the plot. But were there any other like initial impressions like that you felt coming from that movie?
Yeah. So a big aspect of this movie that I was thrilled about that also kind of plays into the marketing is the music. Like the the Barbie album came to actually out the day after I saw the movie, so I just kind of got it organically. But like even from the opening scene where Lizzo's song Pink, like it was just so silly, so good, and I feel that the music contributed in a big way. Like Charlie's song Speed Drive, of course, I was patiently waiting for the whole film until the queen and the princess came out with Barbie World for the credits, and I absolutely was standing up in the theater rapping the song. All the it was pretty period. So I just think from a musical standpoint, like they absolutely crushed it, and now I get to have this music as part of my life, and I'm so grateful to the movie for that.
You're touching on something like this, and I feel like I've seen this on threads and stuff like that. We'll talk about this more in the feedback show, but this was a cultural moment.
It
They
was
have the food, they have the looks, they have the fashion, and they have the
the
music.
fashion.
The fashion, like I just everything looks so pretty to look at. Just I was like, wait, I want that outfit, I want this one, I want that one. Like I just want every single thing in this movie. So they just really gave it. I'm just really proud of the production team. I
Right.
really enjoyed the writing. And so yeah, it was gold stars all around. We'll get into some things I thought that could have been a little bit smoother, but
Okay.
let's go ahead and dive into the actual movie recap. So
Okay.
like a small recap for those who need their brains tickled a little bit, remembering what happened in Barbieland, which is a matriarchal society where women are confident and successful. Barbie starts to reject some traditional gender roles and focuses on independence and female friendships in this land. And during a dance party, the stereotypical Barbie, which is played by Margot Robbie, she becomes concerned about her mortality. It kind of came out of nowhere. She was like, thinking about death? Like,
It was definitely giving like, like in full stop. Right.
Lizzo, like you said, Lizzo was so funny because they did a new rendition of her song when she was like getting depressed and stuff like that.
Right.
But yes, some real world emotions start to affect Barbie, and she tries to seek a cure in the real world, really off of the advice of Weird Barbie, which I thought was such a smart component because obviously, as children, especially since they're trying to give this idea that, oh, the human world and the Barbie world, they never cross over, but you know, they still interact in some way because the Barbies don't walk down the stairs, they fly down the stairs and things like that. But in that regard, children are not the nicest to their toys, and so obviously there's going to be some weird ones. How'd you feel about the weird Barbie?
I thought it was so funny that it. I thought it was so funny that they had this woman in them splits, all crazy like that, and she was in the splits the entire film. She was so committed. I
Yeah,
loved that character, and I also like I don't know how this may come off, but like when they were doing all the movie premieres and all the marketing, like I don't even know that woman's name that played the weird Barbie, but I was like, she's more of like a funny type. I was like, oh, I don't really, and they never really were like, we knew Issa was President Barbie before the movie even came out, but I wasn't sure like who she was. So when she showed up as weird Barbie, I was like, okay, this makes perfect sense.
yeah, casting period. Like the cast director, marketing people, like all of them need a promotion because she is so I'm forgetting her name too, which is so awful. But I know her from SNL, and
Right.
she was perfect for Weird Barbie. And I think that like I read a little bit of an interview with her as when they went on the press tour, and she had identified herself as queer Barbie, and I think that
Oh.
was a great metaphor because she's queer in real life. But I
Mhm.
felt like that was a great metaphor for the way that is probably even looked at in society as well. That like, oh, she's getting queer in a lot of different ways, not just in her sexuality, but in all of her aspects. But that the one thing that like in terms of her background that was very interesting was the fact that she had experienced these things with the human world before. So she was able to kind of guide Barbie
Mm.
into understanding how to get to the real world. And when I tell you, I love that they use the real world set design to kind of move through all
Mhm.
of the different aspects of Barbie culture. What was like your favorite when they were like kind of doing the transition back and forth from Barbie land to the real world? What was your favorite scene?
My favorite scene, I actually just like the whole sequence just because of like, I don't know if it's the set design or the editing or CGI or whatever, but just how flat everything
Yeah,
was
great
and like
point.
laid on top of each other. Like that, I just live just to watch that flatness, if that makes
Sure.
any sense.
It does because that's how it comes off. Like when you're like again, y'all, I was a Barbie fiend. Like I forgot just even now. I had the RV Barbie, the
Oh,
plane Barbie. Like when they were going through, it was really a homage to
wow.
all of the different toys that like the toy setups that you could really get. Of course, capitalism, of course, marketing. But it
Right.
just again, this is a culture that a lot of people know really well. And obviously, even if you didn't grow up with it, it still was an experience. Like it
Yeah.
felt like to be a Barbie. And for me particularly, I love the RV scene. That was just cute, like to see them inside and looking at each other and like playing with the fire and stuff.
Yeah.
Like when they were on like the ice caps, like the snow mountains in their little cute snowsuits. I was like, oh,
Right.
I need
The boots,
all of this.
the fur boots was given.
So yeah, that was fun. And Ken joins her. Like she thinks she's going on the self-discovery journey by herself. No, girl. Ken is your ride or die. he he came in with her.
But I love that she refused to let him sit in the front seat with her. Like he's on the rocket ship, but he's hanging off the back. Like he's just like kind of like he's tagging along, but still not in equal standing.
Exactly, exactly. It was definitely hilarious. Okay, so then we get to the real world, and oh my gosh, Walter, Ken is just taken
He's
with
living.
the this is not matriarchy no more. This is a patriarchy, okay, in the real world. And I
Right.
thought it was so funny how like the way one he was treating others, but then how others were treating him. How'd you
Right.
feel about that white guy when he was trying to go for them damn
That
jobs and so
job, yo, I loved how he just was like, okay, I can now contribute the bare minimum and get everything. And at the same time, people were like, no, you can't. But it did not matter to him. Like, it just wasn't registering. He was like, that's wrong. Like, I do deserve this job. Like, I see you're telling me no, but it's really not hitting me that it's a no. Like, I'm just going to keep going. So that I live for. And then when that man said, he said, we just have to be better at hiding the patriarchy now. I'm just like, I was like, they are not letting nobody breathe in this movie. Like,
No
not at
one.
all.
No one. It was so funny. Like, and he's just such a. Have you heard of the term himbo?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, he was giving himbo energy, and we'll get into character analysis, but I just love that they use himbo as one of the main masculine characters because that's all like that's been shown or proven out to be one of the most feminist masculine archetypes,
Mm,
honestly. But he in this one, it was easy to showcase him as somebody that was very, very malleable to
right,
the patriarchal society because this was the first time that he was given purpose. It felt
right.
like he was like, "Oh, men have a purpose in this world, and it's to have job, it's to drink beer, it's to be with other men." He was really drawn to the brotherhood instead of
With
the
the horses.
happiness, the horses. We can't forget about the horses. Taken by those damn horses. But in Barbie Land, there was a lot of competition between the kids versus in the real world. It felt like there was more of a brotherhood, the gym bros
Mm,
and things like
right.
that. So I felt like um he was very taken by what could potentially be seen as like the more like positive but still toxic elements to this oppressive patriarchy in the real world. And you know, while he's off on his journey doing that, Barbie's off on her journey doing what Weird Barbie told her to do, which was
Right.
find your person because your person is actually affecting the way you feel about yourself. Now, how'd you feel when she had first come up on Sasha?
Sasha.
Yeah, how did you feel about that scene? And like, did you think that Sasha was her Barbie? Barbie was her
So,
Barbie. Yeah.
so number one, I love that they kept her in this full pink rodeo outfit during like that whole real world thing. Like, I was just so mesmerized by those bell bottoms, by the every. And I was just like, you better walk around California in this pink cowboy outfit. Number one, and I
Yes.
actually thought it was her Barbie, but she just kind of like forgot,
Right.
like, oh, these were flashbacks, and like I don't play with you anymore. So I didn't quite catch it at first, but Sasha definitely read Barbie down. Like, she
Yes.
definitely read her down. And I think that they just kind of do that through the whole movie of like, this is a Barbie movie, but we're going to poke fun at ourselves a little bit throughout the
Yes.
show.
As they should. Like, I'm glad that they didn't ignore what the downsides of Barbie could be. And it wasn't like it was even performative because it was something that they explored throughout the rest of the movie.
Hmm.
This other dichotomy, because obviously the Barbies were like really big upping themselves throughout like the first part where they're like, "Oh, we should come up and give you a hug. Like you've done so much for feminism." And it's like, well, Stephen, I wish I had the beginning dialogue because they were just really throwing words together in the beginning about like what Barbies have done for society that really didn't even make much sense. But Sasha was giving an academic read, a
Right.
thorough read. Like, let's be clear, you've done a lot to tear down women as well, especially even just Margot being identified as the stereotypical Barbie, like now that means that this is what like. This is a blueprint of what I'm supposed to be. If I'm not this, then I'm othered. It's like
Mm,
this is all very true, but I do think that even in that sense, there was still a lot lost. Like there was well, one of course, this movie was a lot about different genders, a lot about power, a lot about just matriarchy, patriarchy, whatever the hell. But Sasha, like you could see, there was even though Barbie had some faults, I like that in that scene they were showcasing the faults that Sasha's group dynamic was showcasing as
right.
well. Because whereas Barbie's all like big upping her friends, like very much on the sisterhood vibe, everybody's scared of Sasha. Like
Hmm.
nobody can have a different opinion than her. Like, how'd you feel about the way they were showing that different power balance, especially in a school setting?
Yeah, definitely like the mean pretty girl energy you definitely got. It was a little I was a little crazy to watch because I was like, Sasha, just be nicer. But I did love how her friends were like, get her girl. Like, oh, she thought she was that. She was like, breed her, get her. They were ready for her to do what she did, and we got to see why Sasha was held as the queen bee. Period. And
Yes.
she did what she had to do. Like she cleared let her go immediately off her.
Yeah, Margot had to literally sit down and she had to reassess. And while she was reassessing, her and Ken probably get arrested.
Right.
That was crazy. Like them going in and out of jail. That was so funny. But in that time period, we see a whole ruckus happen at Mattel, which was I loved how they like really played up the corporate vibe of
Hmm.
everything and then showcase that it was actually being run by all men and by the crazy, crazy, crazy Will Ferrell.
Hmm.
And Will Ferrell's assistant. As soon as they showed America Ferrera, I was like, and they showed her drawing the
Right.
Barbie
Right.
sketches. I was like,
Instantly.
oh wait,
Hmm.
maybe this is her Barbie, and she just tried to give it to Sasha. And that wound up very quickly coming to life as she saves Barbie from going into that. Well, no, because Barbie gets taken by Mattel. They after she gets out of jail, she gets taken by Mattel. They told her to get in the box. Now I did not understand what this box was
Me
supposed to
either.
do. It felt very ominous, but I didn't understand it. Either way, I'm glad she didn't get in the box because I'm sure the
Me
movie
either.
would
Yeah.
have been great in there. And actually, before she even gets saved by America Ferrera, we see her meet this random older lady. I was
Right.
like, what is this? I did not
Right.
know she was later. But how'd you feel about that scene?
I had a inkling of who the older lady was, and I was proven correct, so that was cool. But as for her getting into the box, and first of all, I just the little detail of like the how they were holding her wrist back and like tying it back, and I was just like, okay, this is taking me back. I don't know what that box was about, but they did. I don't know if they had it at your theater, but they did have like an actual life size box in the theater that you could take pictures in of like you in the box. There was a literal line of people waiting to take pictures, so I didn't get my own. But like, I love that they actually brought that to life in the actual theater that I was in. And I'm very, very glad that she ran out of that box, and then Charlie XCX's song immediately played. Like, I
Yeah,
don't know if you like really got into the song before the movie, but I was just like, this is just the perfect song for this for this
I did.
one scene.
Oh, well, tell me more. Like what? Like I actually forgot what the song was about. Like I need to go back to the album, but I'm glad that
Right.
it was given during that. I'm glad they were very intentional about where they place their music. That's really cool.
Yeah, the song is like, Bobby, you're so fine, you're so fine, you're so fine, to be. It was given, it was given. But like, it was definitely hyper pop energy. She's running. It was just giving me all the campness that I needed in that moment. Through this office, like, I don't understand how them people did not catch her, but and also the corporate people were just so aggressively incompetent. Like where did that come from? Like, and then I mean, I hate to skip to the end, but I was just like, they also just didn't do anything. Like they they just were there and just did nothing, and they were like, oh, it's selling. Okay, let's let it happen.
No, they served the only purpose that they could have, being incompetent, doing nothing, taking credit for everything, and
Right.
making sure that the numbers were numbering. But that whole chase scene was so I was cracking up throughout that entire one. Especially when Margot and Will looked at each other and just started screaming. They were like, and I was like, this is hilarious. This is hilarious. Like, um, because Will was like, "Oh shoot," and then starts going back and try to capture her. It was just so funny. But either way, she makes it out and she gets to America Ferrera. She's like, "Listen."
Gorgeous, by the way, gorgeous.
She was, it is one of those things where, of course, we've seen her in her young days. So I'm like, not her playing a, mo-
Right.
a mother, okay? Because
Hmm.
I'm like, she's not going to be a mama. That's exactly what she was
Right.
playing. And what was I gonna say? Yeah, she really like Sasha had been, kind of making her feel bad the whole movie up until that point, but she was like, "No, I'm about to put my mom hat on, and we're about
Right.
to go save my Barbie. This is my
Right.
Barbie." And so they go and they have such a and yes, let's say her name. Her name is Gloria in the movie,
Okay.
and after her daring rescue, we find it's confirmed that she's been projecting her own identity crises onto Barbie. How do you feel about that in terms of them touching into some of these, real world feelings and playing into the dolls themselves?
Yes. So, I mean, I thought it was a bit of a reach a little
Yeah,
bit, just because, like, even like what you were talking about earlier, like the death thing, like,
yeah,
she was, and then she was like, "Oh, like, have you been having thoughts of death?" And she was like, "Yeah, thoughts of death, Barbie." I was like, "Okay, that's not necessarily marketable." So I was just like, I don't know. I feel like they could have said depressed Barbie or something like that to make it a little
yeah,
bit more, make more some more sense. But
yeah.
it's real. It's real. And it like it jogged my mind. I was like, I wonder if like, I mean, I don't have any kids at the moment, but I'm like, I wonder if parents like actually go back and like when their kid is not home, play with like their children's toys in like a different context. Like, I wonder if that's like a real thing.
I do too. I as well do not have children, but that's something that we definitely have to go back and ask our parents and see. Like, let's ask them for the feedback show if that's something that they do because that's definitely what it was giving. Especially some of the metaphors it felt like it was saying to me was like inner child. Like what it felt like. Okay, is this some form of way of her trying to heal her inner child? Like what
Mm,
is going on here? And it felt pretty plainly to me this is where yeah so this is where as we go back let's start to yeah so because I have comments on what you just said as
okay.
far as
Okay.
the movie, but it plays more into when they actually get back to Barbieland. So Sasha is sitting here like, "Ma, you're really going to believe that this is a real Barbie, Ma? Like, what? We're going to go back to Barbieland?" And Gloria's like, "Hun, strap up, get into the seat. We are going back to Barbieland. Okay, that's
Now,
what right
right
now,
now.
and you're coming with me too." And I'm so glad she got her together because I
Right.
feel like I've had those moments with my mom in the reverse order too, where it's just like, I don't want to do this. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, listen, you're my daughter, you're my child, you're gonna listen to me right now. And later on, you're like, I'm glad you told me
Hmm.
to go.
Right.
Because they had such a wonderful time going back. I love seeing them all go back into Barbie.
Right.
And then they find that it's been taken over by who? The
Mhm.
kids.
I was so disappointed in him. I was so disappointed. I was just like, why would they do this?
Honestly, like it was crazy looking. First off, like I was like, not you. It
Yeah.
physically hurt me to see Barbie dressed up in this way. Like, not a saloon in Barbie's dream
Oh
house.
my gosh. And
It,
not the Mojo Dojo house, the Mojo Dojo Casa house. I'm like, this is just beyond ignorant. Like, I was like, I don't know what, turn the movie off. Like, I'm like, this is just not what I came for. This is not what I signed up for. Not the
it's
kingdom.
no, it was not. But didn't it feel like it just hit me right now? Didn't it feel like it felt like to me like if my brother came in and like was messing with my toys, trying to put his stuff in it, like it just was giving. It felt like a very like potential thing that could have happened, like even in the real world, like somebody coming in and messing up Barbie's dreamland. But it had a lot of layers to it where
Mm,
they had imposed these other Barbies into some submissive roles.
right.
Um,
And they were living for it too. I'm here to please my man. Yes, yes, yes. It was giving pick me, pick me, pick me.
was. It really was. Like it was so wild how quick the change was. And Issa was so funny because she was like, "There's our president," and Issa was not giving president energy anymore. It was so crazy. So crazy. And so, of course, Margot is even more upset because she's like, this is what I was supposed to do. I was supposed to bring my person back, see the wonderfulness of Barbieland so she doesn't have to be depressed anymore. But now it's Kidland, and she's just going through a crisis. When she had what am I trying to say? When she had laid on the ground like that,
That
and
breakdown, she
she
gave
just
up immediately.
immediately. And Sasha was like, listen, and I'm so glad that, because they called it, I was like, I'm so glad it wasn't Barbie that came up with the plan to change it. It was really Gloria. And Gloria goes into this entire spiel. So she just starts going off on like a whole monologue of,
Right.
you know, how hard it is to be a woman. And not gonna lie, she read like she gave like I loved how she was kind of balancing the fact that damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like either way, you're either too pretty, not pretty enough, too sisterly, or too giving to others, or too selfish. Like no matter where you're placed in the world, you're never really right, and you never really fit. And she's like, if I'm feeling this way, and Barbie's feeling this way, then what do we do about it? And I guess the ending diagnosis was like, oh, just understanding that this is an active issue, like that this is an active issue, that there's cognitive dissonance between all of these roles that women are and have to be. That was snapping them out of the submission,
Okay.
and being quite unaware. It made them self-aware, and I guess self-actualized. Did you read it that way?
Yeah. So, well, two things. So, uh, working backwards. So,
Yes.
like, for the fact that, like, that cognitive dissonance was snapped out, I was like, I didn't know how I felt about that being the
Yeah.
cure. I was
Yeah.
like, I get it, but also I feel like we could have whiteboarded it a little bit longer. It was a little too easy, a little too easy.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to ask you was like, how did that feel, like hearing that as a woman? Like, you know, I mean, it's not nothing I don't think anybody hasn't heard before, but when it's all strung together in a long, dramatic soliloquy, like, did you feel that like hit authentically? Like, obviously, that's how things are, but I just, I'm curious.
Yeah. So I felt like she was saying very real things, and I definitely identified with like everything that she was saying, especially like the fact that I thought it was interesting. Remember, I told you at the beginning that they had this whole idea of motherhood, and we're kind of like
Mhm.
pushing it off to the
Right.
side. And then I'm glad that she kind of brought that back to life, in the sense like this is a big part of womanhood too,
Hmm.
and that is even not very valued in society, even though I'm not a mother. But either way, I felt like she was definitely giving a read, especially when she was talking about just the dichotomy of the balances. Like it's really like even for myself, I feel like, one, I love numerology. I will run your numbers. I still have to. You've given them to me through the little quiz you had done
Right.
with me.
Okay.
In numerology, there's different time periods, and from the age 0 to 27, you're
Hmm.
actually going through like a self discovery journey. And I turned 27 this year. I'm very excited. And I've been really, really contemplating my own personality, my own self discovery. And as I've done that, like I've taught a lot of the same things, especially when she was talking about like uh, being there for the people around you, but then also focusing on self. If you're being there for the people around you, then you're codependent. If you are focusing on yourself, then you're selfish. But it's like it just felt like very human things,
Hmm.
even just past being a woman. But I think that as when you're placing the societal pressures on it and the way that it comes off, whether it's if you're a leader, then you're bossy. If you are allowed, and you're squashing up people's ideas. If you are if you're trying to have a more flat structure, then you are a pushover. It just it's you the whole idea of not being able to win in either way, I really, really felt. But to your point, I felt like they kind of got took us all this way and then did not give us a thesis conclusion. Like it was like, what what do we do with all of this wonderful information?
Right, right.
It's like you can kind of get there by like, okay, we understand the cognitive dissonance. Now you just have to choose yourself. But I felt like that wasn't spelled out enough, and I really wish that they could have made it very clear, especially because even me and I studied women's studies in college. I got a
Mhm.
certificate in it. Even me, it was like, all right, I can kind of guess that this is where they're going, but for a regular Joe Schmo, do they really understand that? Do they understand? Because and tell me if you took this away. What it felt like to me was, all right, now that you know that you can't necessarily win either way you go, now you just have to choose who you're going to be, what you're going to stand for, what are going to be your values, and that's
Okay.
what truly makes you a self-actualized person. But
Mm.
like, did you read it that way, or did you take it like have a different stance? Because it could have been really anything. They kept it pretty wide open.
I didn't take it that way. Now that you said that, I was like, okay, I really wish they would have just added that last sentence on to like that long soliloquy that they gave us. Like, I definitely agree. Like, she was like, let's just kind of throw everything at you. And like, I guess immediately in the movie, the solution was let's get Barbie Land back to what it is. But like, for an
Yes.
actual human walking away from this movie, like, what is the conclusion? It was more so, okay, this is what women go through. Thank you.
Yes.
And that was it.
I was like, hell, okay. And we were going from there. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was very cute the way that they were utilizing like the whispering or no, what was really cute was them playing into the submissive roles to
Right.
distract the
That was
kids
funny.
and get Barbie. But yeah, it's just I felt that could have been tied up a bit nicer. So that is one of my critiques for the movie. But Gloria with Barbie and everything like that, they become allies and they lead this revolution against the kids. And
Mhm.
man, do we get the best dance scene that I probably well hold on. Let me not even skip there. How'd you feel about him with this guitar scene of the mom
Oh,
serenading them? That was so funny.
I
So
think that I would say this. I would say this. The guitar scene was cute on the beach. All of that was cute. I love that. And the way that Barbie was seducing Ken and he was trying to act like he wasn't living for it, that fit me. That fit me. However, comma,
yes.
Ken was singing for like a couple minutes too long. I'm gonna be real. Like Ryan Gosling is an actor, not a vocalist. And then it's not even like they had like a upbeat, like, okay, let's get them together. It was like a slow ballad. Like I'm like, you are not
Yes.
Adele. You should not be doing no ballad. And also like in the Barbie album, like his song is really in there. He's an artist on the thing. So it's like a real song. And that song is getting skipped because I didn't enjoy it. So I felt like he did. I love the concept. I love the everything about it. The actual song, I was just like they. I mean, they could have even just had an actual male singer just
Yes.
sing the song and he just like do something. But they said no. We want Ryan. You didn't see Margot singing, but he was singing. I didn't get that. I didn't get that. And then also like that
Yeah.
dance break, like I'm a dancer.
Yes.
The choreography was not my favorite. I'm gonna have to be real.
True.
I think I think that there was definitely like technically like when we saw like more of the like trained dancers like doing leaps
Yes.
and
Sort of.
spins. All of that was cute. I like that. Wasn't groundbreaking. It wasn't giving Paris global, nothing like that, nothing Savage Fenty s. But like when the actual kin actors were dancing, you could definitely kind of see the difference. Like, and also like it wasn't the cleanest dance. Like they weren't like 100% synchronized, and I caught it a couple times. So like this is kind of giving me like, okay, y'all was at practice, like when we go like as much as it costed it, y'all should have shot that again because we could see he a couple beats behind. I'm gonna just be real. But yes, that I don't even know where I started with that, but yeah, I just had to say that because they should not have been singing. It was cute, but like it needed to be about half as long because it was like, okay, at first it's funny, it's cute, hee hee ha ha ha, but like the longer it goes, I was like, oh, y'all was serious. Oh, in that case, I have a different lens for that whole situation.
That's so funny. Yeah, no. The actual song and the ballad were to me, I agree with you. It went very, very long. And then it moves into this dance break. I think I just loved it so much because I was like, okay, we're finally done with that. Now we're getting movement. Now we're getting action. Now we're
Okay,
getting
right. Yes, to get
but what was really funny to me was it felt like a callback when they had showed like all these different masculine scenes in the beginning when Ryan was like figuring himself out. Not
mhm,
Ryan, Ken.
right.
And they had shown Grease. And it felt like they had called back to that Grease moment in this like
Right,
dance break
right. It definitely did give me too.
when they were going, and there was just some comedy. But I agree with you. As a dancer myself, there was just, and I didn't know if it was like for comedic purposes or whatever, but it was like, y'all are definitely not trained dancers. Laughing throughout that entire scene. I'm like, oh, y'all cannot be serious, but y'all are acting serious. It's just, it was too much. It was too much. But I loved how that dance scene kind of brought them all together.
Hmm.
And then at the end, they're like, oh, wait, we were supposed to do something important today. We were supposed to vote for independence. And so
Right.
the girls got them all the way together. And,
Yeah.
we see them reclaim their systemic power and their matriarchy, which I thought was beautiful. But again, like, I just think that now I got to put my women's studies hat back on. I really wish when Barbie was talking with Ken and trying to reconcile with him, that they had done a little bit more to address the fact that there really shouldn't be an imbalance in any way.
Mm-hmm.
Like whether it's men on top or women on top, that is going to lead to systemic issues. Like
Oh,
we should try to make this as balanced of a society as possible. Why don't kids have a place to live? Why don't they have different careers that they can do? And they started to give them a little bit of empowerment. Like Issa, she was so funny. He was like, "Can I be a Supreme Court justice?" No.
yeah, they needed to keep them like not in the Supreme Court, but I see what you're saying. Like, I think that it's. I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah, no, because it's I just again, it was like something that was there that was implied that they were getting a little bit more empowerment, but it wasn't explicitly said.
Mm,
She apologized for not giving him some space. But on the flip end, again, I'm not mad at it because obviously this is like a fantasy world, and why can't in our fantasies women rule? Like why can't that
hmm.
be the case? So I'm not like too mad at it, but I just think again, if we're trying to have like a very I don't want to say woke, but if we're trying to have a conversation about this, like a healthy conversation about gender, we can't promote for one gender to be on top of the other and it just
Right.
being reversed. So that was one piece. But overall, we don't always see them reconcile. They also, Ken decides to go off, he does this wonderful thing. But Barbie now has to make a choice. And she has to choose, am I gonna be a party Barbie land or am I gonna be a part of the real world? How did you
Yes.
feel about that scene and like her ultimate decision? Was it believable?
I did not want her to go back to the human world. I was like, why would you do that? Like, you want to be a human so bad, girl. Like, you were living the life. You were living. You want to like go to the human world and get a job. Like you're
Right,
Barbie. Like that is a
right,
job. Like and also she's the stereotypical Barbie. So you're the main
right.
character in Barbie land. So you just gonna leave
Yes.
your people like that? Like I ain't like that. I ain't like that. I don't understand why
Yeah.
she did that. I don't know what about the human world was really enticing her so much. Like I was like, girl, you went to the human world and you crying, like you getting
Yes.
arrested. Like I don't know what about it really was the motivating factor. I guess she didn't. I mean, I can see like she was like, I feel like I kind of don't have a. Oh. So another part about the music. So then the Billie Eilish song came on, and the name of that song is "Why Am I Here? Why am I supposed to be here? What is my purpose?" Something along those lines. And first of all, that was gorgeous. I love the way it
Yes.
was perfect. The state, everything. But as Barbie, you feel like your purpose is not to be Barbie, it's to be a a woman, like in the real world. Like I I don't I didn't agree with that, and I did not want Barbie to go back. I wanted her to stay in her lane as like I wanted to go right back to the first scene where she's the queen of Barbie Land. So that wouldn't have been my personal choice. I would have kept
Sure.
my pretty ass in Barbie Land, but she wanted her WAP so bad, so she got it.
The fact that twist ending when she's not doing it, I'm like, fall for a job interview, sister about to
Right,
get
right.
a role. And I like that they ended like, no, she
I
has
did.
she got a WAP right now, so she is going to the gynecologist. Okay, that's what she's gonna do.
I love
So nervous. And I love that too. Just as a woman, like I
it.
was super nervous for my first gynecology appointment. Like it is similar to a job interview because you don't know what's gonna happen. It's so intrusive. Like what is
Mhm.
going on.
See,
So it was I thought that part was believable. But going back to what you were just saying about her decision, could have gone either way for me. I understand
okay.
why they did it. Like I feel like because she was stereotypical Barbie, and she represents so much for womankind. Like I think it was supposed to be a representation for women being okay with aging, being okay with not being perfect or not being like in this perfect world, and
Mhm.
instead going through the motions of life, especially when they gave that montage at the end of Real Women, going throughout their lives, having children, getting jobs, celebrating families, like it just was it was giving like, all right, you've done this for so long, now you want a new adventure and here's what it is. And so I mean, I agree with you that like even if it was to go the other way, like if she was to go back to Barbie Land, why couldn't they teach those same lessons there, to make them
Mhm.
more like the real world? But then again, the Barbie Land's Barbie Land, real world. But I don't know, it could have gone a lot of different ways, but I understood why she did what she did. You've seen Harry Potter before, right? Like
Yes,
the
I love Harry Potter.
course. So was it giving to you when she was walking with Ruth, that last scene in Harry Potter instead of where Dumbledore and Harry Potter are walking in King's Cross? Because that's what it was giving to me. Like, are you gonna choose to go to death? Or are you gonna choose to go back to life? Like it just was interesting the style there. But it was one of those things.
And I did love that they brought in like the original creator of the Barbie and
Yes.
incorporated her into the movie.
Yeah.
I think they definitely honored Miss Ruth very
Yeah.
well. I feel like she was definitely one of the most helpful characters in terms of like Barbie's growth. So I really appreciated that. Um, and I'm
Absolutely.
and I'm not sure where we are in the recap, but one thing I must say um, before we end it is I cannot forgive Greta or whoever is behind this movie for the wig that they put on Dua Lipa. Mermaid Barbie, that unit was
Yeah.
horrendous. And she had at least two or three different wigs on, and they were like, it was given like this, like it was sitting up here,
It was
like
a little bit.
the scalp. There was
Nothing.
no scalp. There
No
was
stuff.
no part. It was. I just did not get it because I was like, everybody else's hair looked. First of all, Margot's hair looked amazing that entire film,
Fire. Oh,
top to bottom. So I'm like, if they could do this, I don't know if Dua brought on her own. Somebody was. I don't know why they allow her onto the set like that. And also at the movie premiere, I think the British one is the one Dua showed up to. She had on that same wig, and it was just as bad in real life.
I didn't even see that. Oh my
Like
god.
I don't. I don't know. Maybe we could put maybe in post we could put like a picture because it was like I was just like, ooh, and they kept doing it. So I don't know what that was about, but
No, I
the answer
agree
was no.
because I mean they the thing is it wasn't like Barbie was giving, oh, I'm gonna look like a Barbie cartoon or a Barbie costume. She really looked good. And so why were they giving Dua Lipa this kind of costume-esque wig is
Yeah,
beyond me because obviously we have so many great hairstylists out there like in the world like doing so many, I mean just what they did with like Hallie in the Little Mermaid recently. Whew, her hair was
it was the movie.
gorgeous. It was the movie. Thank you. So we know that we know how to do this. We know y'all have the budget. I agree with you. It's unforgivable. Yeah, I think that's something that and that's something that I would yeah, let's continue to explore the feedback. Like in the feedback, I think we're gonna have to really explore their costuming, their characters, like just their whole culture. We're gonna address Dua Lipa and we're gonna bring some pictures to that discussion. Okay, so please check this out. Check that next feedback show out. It'll be coming out next week. So we'll be continuing to discuss Barbie there. But before we wrap up, are there any other last like any last thoughts about what this movie left you with?
What this movie left me with. So I'll say this. As I mentioned before, I did not grow up playing with Barbies. Obviously, very familiar with the brand, but never really experienced it as a child or even as an adult. But after kind of watching that movie, I felt officially indoctrinated into the Barbie community. So I was like, I want Barbie movie two, three, four,
Yeah,
five. I want another Barbie album. Like I was like, I'm officially like thinking pink. Like I am the biggest fan. So I'm very excited. I think the movie. I just could. I also couldn't believe. I was like, damn, why did they wait so long to make this movie? Also, like,
right.
I was like, why is this the first Barbie movie? Like, actually, it's not. I've seen actually the animated Barbie movies.
Yes, there's so many beautiful
Those
animated Barbies.
the animated ones were good. I'm not even going to take that from him. But in terms of the live action, casting was amazing. I really would have loved to be a fly on the wall in terms of like the styling team. Like
Yes, the
the
art direction.
fashion was amazing. I remember, well, definitely my favorite outfit was definitely pink rodeo Barbie, but my
Yes.
favorite like piece was they had this Barbie Chanel necklace that she wore when she got back to Barbie Land. And I was
Yes.
just like, yes, I'm like, not they got Chanel on call because Chanel had to clear that. And yeah, so I just think like I appreciated that like the collaborations were not just limited to the marketing before. Like in the actual movie, there was definitely brands who were showing up for the movie. So
Absolutely.
I definitely think it was like just one of the most well dressed movies of like all time, I would really say, because I think they brought a very camp element
Yeah.
to the movie without it being like super costumey except for Dua Lipa's wig. Like outside of that, everybody else did a really great job. Issa was definitely my favorite character.
Yes.
I love that I love that for her curse word, they put like the Mattel logo
Yes.
over her mouth. That made it funny. I was chuckling throughout the movie,
Yeah.
which also like leads me to kind of like my final point, which was the corniness. Like
Yeah.
I feel like it was a double-edged sword. Like I feel like because the movie was corny, it made it funny, and because the movie it was corny, it just kind of leaned into that camp factor.
It
So
did.
I think they did a great like balance at making it corny, but not super super cheesy.
Sure.
But at certain times, like I said before, like America's soliloquy, I felt like
Yeah.
there were certain times I was like, this is, or like that Ken dance break that ran a little bit too long. I was like, the corniness, like, all right, reel me back in, reel me back in. So I think that was a very interesting balance.
Sure.
And yeah, I thought it was a great film, and I am officially like giving off Kenergy until the day I die. Period.
I love that. Yes, energy. It's energy for life at this point. It really was, it is, continues to be a cultural moment. And
Hmm.
that's really the point that I have to say about it. Like, I love it for that. I love that I feel like we are in such lack, in my opinion, of very femme movies
Speak on it. Speak on it.
that look great, okay, get the budget that they deserve, and are not rom coms. Like it's so interesting because Greta
Right.
Gerwig's background is rom coms, but like this was not that. Like I like that Barbie continuously rejected Ken the entire movie because
Hmm.
of, I mean, I felt so bad for Ken heartbreak that he got this unrequited love, but still that was not the point, and I just really appreciated that this was a self-discovery journey that was super femme without it, because oftentimes it feels like if we're going to have a female lead and it's a self-discovery journey without rom-coms, then she has to be kind of like a harder edged, uh, kind of even more masculine sort of character. And no, this was a self-discovery journey about a very femme person, a very femme group of people that didn't necessarily have to have that romantic edge. Now, do feel like that they could have said a little bit more, just tighten the, they gave us the like, what do you call it? What are the different breakdowns of the thesis? They gave us the research. They gave us the um, all of the different notes, but they just didn't give us the conclusion of whatever message,
Right.
philosophical message they were trying to say. At
Hmm.
least not super explicitly. I felt like they were trying to leave it a little bit too open for the
Hmm.
viewers to interpret, which is nice because we can take it anywhere that we would like to. Everybody can take away what they want to, but if you're trying to give a message about something that is going to be good for society, I do think you have to be a little bit more intentional about what you're trying to say. Like everything all at once, since it was brought up before, I know what that message of the movie
Right.
was. It was about love. It was about family. Like that's what it was. Here, it's like self discovery means whatever you want it to mean. Just know that you're not going to win everything. It's not as tied up in a nice neat bow. And you know
Hmm.
what? Life isn't that way. So why
Right.
take it? So
Right.
it wasn't heinous enough to be as distracted like that. It makes it a bad movie. It's just that would be my really only critique. Everything else was honestly perfect. Like the
Mm.
casting, like you said, the styling, the music, the culture. It just was all amazing. And I did eventually just really like the character development of it all.
Hmm.
So we're definitely going to talk about that character development in the feedback show. So everybody, please make sure you tune into that. We will have the lovely Hunter Walter back giving kid energy for that show too. But for now, that is a wrap on our Barbie movie recap. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe to Hot Nerd Network for more geeky goodness. Yeah, anything on your end?
Make sure you hit that notification bell. I also loved how adult the movie is. I wasn't expecting that. And I did see that you got the Barbie shoes. Like,
Yeah,
were those giving what it was supposed to give?
yes. Oh my gosh. So, I didn't even talk about that. Yes, like I had bought into the Zara what am I trying to say? The Zara Barbie collection, absolutely. I will be releasing those photos as soon as my photographer edits them because Zara, I already shop at Zara all the time.
Hmm.
And they went off on this collection. Like there was even things that I didn't get from the collection that everybody should definitely look into. So we will be releasing those photos too. Definitely. Follow us at Hot Nerd Net on all the social channels, please, so that you can see. And if you have any pictures too, Walter, during your time, like please send them my way because I'll post them on PartnerNet as well. Anything Barbie related, if y'all happen to take pictures.
I only have one picture. It's me outside in like a very similar outfit because this is what I wore to the premiere, like this in front of the little thing. But I'll send it to you.
Please.
And yeah, I'm. Thank you so much for having me and allowing me to comment on the fantastic adventure into the world of Barbie.
Of course. Of course, we will definitely need to have you back Well, we're already going to be back to the feedback show. So, yes. And then definitely we need to play on your reality TV, anime, all that. We're going to be having you back on this channel quite soon. But yes, before you go, audience members, please check out the other exciting videos we have lined up for you. Just click on the suggestions at the end of this one. And yeah, I hope you all have a great rest of your day.
In audio.